Hey everyone, the greatest goblin that ever lived is here. I am recording in a different room. I am here at Arkham Comics and Used Bookstore. I'm here to do a Midtown Comics stash. Thanks to my bro, TheMtVernonKid, for sending me these books, and of course thanks to Midtown Comics for these as well. Got a whole pile here. Some from Marvel and DC, and the rest we got some independents. So we're going to start off with some DC stuff. We're going to start off with Justice League United, issue 0. I know this is months and months old. Yeah, I'm very, very late on the bandwagon for this, but you know, Chris asked me if I wouldn't mind checking this out, and I was like, of course I won't mind. You know, but truth be told, I was kind of nervous about getting connected to another Justice League book that didn't involve Jeff Johns in any way, because yeah, I'm kind of spiteful and I'm kind of vindictive, and yes, I kind of haven't forgiven Jeff Johns for how he and DC completely fucked over the Justice League International. But so I was kind of iffy about this, but once I read this, I was like, okay, this could really go somewhere. Now, I'm very late on this, so please try to avoid spoiling the rest of the series for me in the comment section, because I haven't read any of this stuff. But as far as introductory issue to the series goes, this was pretty strong, pretty good. We got some clever introductions to some of these characters in their New 52, in their New 52-ness, if you will. The only character here that really disappointed me in here was Green Arrow. What the hell is wrong with him? He just came off like a really insufferable douchebag in this book, and I'll talk more about him later. But as far as an introductory issue goes, not bad. Pretty strong, straightforward. The artwork was good. The writing was solid. I enjoyed it. And that takes us into Justice League United #1. Why you wouldn't just start with #1? You have to start with an issue 0. Whatever. But for the second issue called #1, this was actually really good. Jeff Lemire still does a great job. Now this particular group, they're not officially called a Justice League in here. Yeah, think about that. And the name of the story is Justice League Canada. The name of the title is Justice League United, but the name of the story is Justice League Canada. I don't know about you, but I kind of like Justice League Canada. It's something different, something new. It's like, why not have Justice Leagues in other countries? We have Justice League of America. Why not have a Justice League Canada? Let's have a Justice League Australia or a Justice League Africa, you know, something like that. If you really, and you could take many different forms of the Justice League and put together underrated and underutilized superheroes and try to make something out of it. Who knows? It might work, God forbid. But what really makes me laugh is that you're doing a storyline called Justice League Canada, and one of the members of the team is so star-spangled and Americana goodness, it's so fucking funny. You're basically putting an American flag in a Canadian-based team. So fucking funny. But they're taking on a being here, and Stargirl notices that whenever she uses her scepter on the being, it changes. And I'm not talking about change. It's like what's the word I'm looking for here? It molecularly, you know, changes. You know, it'll go from like being made out of hair to being made out of steel, made out of water, made out of wind, and then finally made out of wood. You know, and the Martian Manhunter tries to get into this being's mind, and it hurts him. There's even a period where it's made out of pure fire, and I'm thinking to myself, that right there, John Jones should be shitting in his pants seeing a being made out of fire. Because remember, Martian Manhunter's biggest fear is fire. And the way they did Adam Strange's his uniform and everything. That was hilarious. There's a scene in here where he's like, I got a jetpack and a gun. Learn how to use the fucking jetpack before you go gallivanting off in it. And again, Green Arrow, what a douche. What a fucking douchebag he was in this book. And I kind of dug Animal Man in here. But another thing that's been going on in issue 0 and issue 1 was the use of Lobo. Or the version of Lobo that DC is forcing you to like, which pisses me off. To me, the Lobo that they say is the real Lobo in here, I hate it. For me, I grew up with a character like Lobo. When I see Lobo, I think of big, muscular-looking motherfucker who, you know, is a bounty hunter and everything. You saw the Lobo from the 90s comics. One of the few good things about the 90s comics, in my personal, honest opinion. You know, some people call Lobo the original Deadpool, and I can understand that. But for me, Lobo has always been what Lobo has been throughout the years, and just to force feed us a new Lobo that's supposed to be the real Lobo, and fuck you for that, DC. But for the first couple issues, this wasn't bad. Very nicely put together. It's solid, and the ending of this issue with this new ultra killer baby that's been born with mixtures of DNA from every captive that they got in here. Like, okay, it's not the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but it could go somewhere. But remember, I'm just now getting started on it, so give me a break and give me time to catch up if Chris will help me catch up. We're going on to Action Lab Comics. We're going to Fight Like a Girl, #1. I heard the title, Fight Like a Girl. I'm thinking I'm going to get one thing, and I got something completely different. I'm thinking I'm going to get like a girly team up of like teenage renegade, teenage girl superhero thing. That's where I think I'm going with this. I come in here and I see a girl going to the fucking gods of Olympus to get a wish granted to cure her brother's sickness. Yeah, that's really fucking girly. But in here, you see this character here. I'm puzzled on her name. But she actually goes to the gods. I'm talking, you know, the Greek gods, Roman gods, you know, ancient gods, whatever. She actually goes to them, asking to enter the wishing well, to have a wish granted. So they're like, after a long deliberation, they decide to grant her her request. But she has to face she has to face a trial. She has to go through like 8 or 9, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9 trials before she is deemed worthy to enter the wishing well. And this issue basically ends with her going through the first trial. And the first trial alone was kind of a little bit overwhelming for her. And I'm thinking, you got a long way to go. And this could really go somewhere. And for a first issue, I was impressed. Artwork was okay, but the writing was solid. It kept the focus. It kept the focus on the narrative. It kept the focus on the purpose of the storytelling. I thought it really maintained that focus very well. This was solid, and I enjoyed it. It was really great. All right, moving on to Dynamite. Dynamite, we got Shaft #1. Damn right. Chris told me he was going to send me this, and I watched him review it, and man, he wasn't kidding. This book goes there, politically. You know, this is a comic book take on the original Shaft. This is not a continuation based off the Samuel L. Jackson remake. No, this is the original Shaft, the good Shaft, and you got to think about how the times were back then. You got to think about how it was politically back then. You got to think about, you know, what people of different races and different creeds went through back in those times. Because some people could read this book thinking it's deliberately offensive. It's like, there is no way this could have happened. You got to think, you got to put your mind in perspective. You know, the way things are now is a hell of a lot different than the way things were back then. I mean, you could easily say, oh, there's race issues today. Yeah, there is. There's no denying that. But you go back to those times, and I think back in the days of like the 60s and 70s, I think the racial tension was even worse back then. I mean, it was much, it's just my opinion, but I think it was worse then than it is now. Now it's just gotten so overblown by the media and everything, it's just gotten ridiculous, especially what's been going on here lately. But as an introductory issue to this series, thought it was well handled, well played, and I like the way they developed Shaft's character as this badass motherfucker who ain't gonna take shit from nobody, and he doesn't even think about giving a damn about the consequences. And I like that. It gives this character backbone. It gives this character a reason to be admired. It's like, oh man, that's badass. I like that. I respect that. It's not forced. It's not deliberately force-fed. It's like it keeps the storytelling intriguing. It's like, oh God, he went there. What's going to happen to him? I gotta know. And that to me is a plus with this. And the artwork matched it. I like the way some of the dialogue was written. And yes, some of the dialogue in here is racially offensive. I will warn you of that. Chris was right. So there is some racially offensive dialogue in here, but you got to put that in perspective. You got to think about that. You got to put your mind in the perspective of how things were back in those days. And if you are easily offended by racially insensitive dialogue, the odds are you might not like this, but the action we get in here is good. The drama that we get in here is really good, and the storytelling and the character development of each character we get in here is really good, and that makes for a great comic. This was good. I really loved it. Great job by Dynamite. This was awesome. All right, moving on to Image Comics. Going to Red City #3 and #4. I'm going to go ahead and review both these books in one shot. Basically, I'm guessing this is a 4-issue miniseries because it ends very well, and it ends kind of abruptly in my opinion. But with what we get in these 2 issues is Officer Talmadge, the main character, finding out, where this kidnapped girl that he has been looking for in this storyline. He finds out not only where she's at, but who had her all along, who was the benefactor overall of what ended up playing out when this case was closed. And I thought this was nothing original at all. I mean, I've seen storytelling done like this thousands of times. The only difference is it takes place on other planets that aren't Earth, on other planets. And the character of Angel, the red-haired girl, I've seen characters like her done to death a lot too. But the way she's done in here is still entertaining to read, and it's still entertaining to watch. As far as originality goes, this book earns no points. But for what it was, the way the storytelling was done, it was good. The artwork, it was hit or miss for me. I felt like by the time I got to issue 4, the artwork was consistently getting worse the further I read along. However, for a storyline that involves mafia stuff and mobsters and kidnapping and violence and good action, this was alright. I thought this was really good and really well put together. Despite the less than impressive artwork, I'd say this was a solid storyline. I think it's well worth your time. Alright, we're going to Marvel next, and with Marvel, I'm going to hit you with the first 3 issues of Guardians 3000. These covers are damn impressive. I love these covers. But yeah, the original Defenders of the Galaxy, my girlfriend's father and we just got into a debate on, whether we should call these guys the original Guardians of the Galaxy, since they are from the future and the current Guardians we have now are in this time period. But I remembered that the future Guardians have been in the past. Some of them are from the past or present day here. So yeah, you can consider them still the original Guardians. But in here, in these at least in the first couple of issues, we see an interesting take on like a Groundhog Day-ish kind of plot where a certain day, or at least a certain battle, keeps looping over and over again, and you have Gina Drake, one of the members of this team, who's able to sense disturbances in the time stream, who is able to sense time anomalies and everything. she immediately picks it up. But the rest of the team is oblivious to what's going on. But I like the fact that when they do this whole Groundhog Day syndrome of repeating something over again, it's not always the exact same thing every time. You know, back in the Groundhog Day movie, the days were only different because the character that Bill Murray portrayed chose to do things differently. If he had just kept on going throughout his day the way he did the first time, it would have been an endless loop of the exact same shit over and over again. But here, it's not the actions of Gina Drake who's noticing the time disturbances that makes the differences in each time loop. The other characters around her are what causes the differences, and that's a unique twist on it. Like the first time they're in this battle, Vance Astro throws a shield around, but the second time they go through this exact same battle, he uses psionic blasts. And not to mention, Starhawk changes gender, for God's sakes. That was hilarious. But the team members we get in here are really good. They're no Rocket and Groot, but what they are is really impressive. I liked Vance Astro. I love Yondu. Charlie 27 is fucking hilarious. He reminds me kind of a strong guy from X Factor, just a little more intelligent and a little more likable. But not to say the strong guy wasn't likable. I loved that character, but man, Charlie 27 really kind of grew on me really quick. Gina Drake, she's getting there for me. You know, she's kind of got this whole damsel in distress-ish kind of feeling to her, but she can still put up a good fight and hold her own. But Yondu's awesome. Vance Astro is really good. But the rest of the characters have done very well. Just really good stuff. And, you know, by the time we get to issue 3, they're learning more about what Gina's been telling them, you know, disturbances in time and everything like that. All in all, the first 3 issues of this series were just damn impressive, damn fun to read. And just good stuff. Great action. Just solid action. Just great stuff. Fucking amazing stuff. I loved it. This was great. Ending Marvel with the Thanos vs. Hulk #1. It's part 1 of a 4-issue miniseries. This was alright. This is basically a setup issue. There's some exposition in here, there's some build-up to where this is going, but do Thanos and Hulk actually come to blows in this issue? Spoiler alert, no, they don't. This was basically an introductory issue that sets everything up, that's building everything up. I don't think we're actually going to get any action between the two of them until the next issue, which is fine. You don't want to rush into things, you don't want to abruptly hotshot shit. If you're going to build something up, if you're going to have a battle such as this, it needs to be built up. It needs to, you know, and to me, the issue ended the right way with the right kind of cliffhanger. With Thanos showing up in front of the Hulk, and it's like, to be continued, and you're like, oh, I was hoping they would at least have somebody throw a punch by the end of the issue, but nope. You want some action? Wait till the next issue. It's like, okay, we got you with this. We sunk you in. We got you to pay for it. We got you to read it. Now suck on it. You gotta wait until the next issue before they start coming to blows, and you're like, the way they built this up, I gotta see the next issue. Then I gotta get the next one. And then I gotta get the next one. That's smart business. But not everybody likes it that way. I myself, I enjoyed it. But, like I said, it was alright for a standard introductory issue. I mean, they've done shit like this before. But I liked it. I liked the way it built up everything. You got a good appearance from Pip the Troll in here. I ain't seen Pip since the Madrox era of X Factor. It's nice to see him again. Some really interesting dialogue in here. Plus, we get some more stuff. We get another instance of Banner and Hulk actually talking to each other at the same time, which is always good for me. All in all, solid stuff. I really liked it. This was good. Alright, we're ending this review with Boom Studios, issue 6 of RoboCop. God damn it! This was good. This was really good. You got this big, you know, the ED-2000X robot model going down, just mowing down RoboCop. You know, because RoboCop's basically handicapped. He's basically patrolling the streets and serving up justice and everything unarmed. All he has is his nightstick. Remember, the police force the police force and the government took away his firearm. So he has no firepower. He's basically got to rely on brute force and or negotiating skills. And to me, that doesn't scream RoboCop. We also get some interesting character development on probably the main antagonist of this run, which is Killian. And I just love how he busts an undercover cop trying to sneak in some information about his organization and everything. But I loved how Killian did it. I loved how Killian rooted out this undercover cop, because I thought, oh shit, they teased you with him being a dumbass villain. They teased you, and right at the moment he finds out this undercover cop, I love the fucking reveal of how he fucking knew all along. It's just great. This was awesome stuff. And then this, oh god, this was amazing. This was fantastic storytelling, really gripping stuff. I fucking enjoyed it. This was great. Awesome stuff from Boom Studios. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Midtown Comics, for continuing to send me probably one of the most awesome takes on a franchise like RoboCop. This is fucking awesome. All right, that's all I got for this review, everybody. I want to thank y'all for watching. Please subscribe to blugoblinX. Don't forget my main channel, Blugoblin01, where I review comics that I buy here. Don't forget, Jennifer and I, we got Arkham Asylum Studio. The last thing we did was a Christmas unboxing, Christmas unwrapping video. We need to find some new stuff to talk about. And, of course, don't forget my bro, TheMtVernonKid. Thanks again to Chris for sending me these books. And much love to my brother from another mother, one of the best friends I've never met face to face. He's truly awesome. Follow me on Twitter at Blugoblin01. Look for me on Tumblr or Pinterest. Look for me on Facebook, for fuck's sakes. Also some love to Deadpool Zilla and Brandon Hex. Zilla, if you're watching this, I'm looking forward to your My Little Pony Q&A, man. I sent you some questions. You better damn well answer them. Hex, keep working on them CMVs. No matter what the YouTube Nazis say, you're still fucking awesome. Thanks again for watching, everybody. And until next time, I'll see y'all later.